Okay, we're going to have Pete read 3 poems here. One is by request from Connie, and 2 are Pete's selections. So go ahead, Pete. Let's rock and roll with some poetry.
Since we mentioned Connie, who I've gotten to know, and she's been a great supporter and a great lover of the journal and poetry, and so this is her favorite poem, and one that has always touched me too. It's called Lost. A red glove on a city bench waits a partner, a hand. I have known such loneliness.
So little says so much.
Thank you. It's kind of like it has its own little haiku, but I remember when I was downtown, or I might have been on the L, and I saw this glove all by itself, and I thought, glove, you're looking for a partner, aren't you? You're looking for another hand. Okay, this is one of the earlier poems that I did, and it's always it's kind of like in the rhythmic impulse that really works with me anyway. I feel comfortable with. It's called Doors and Doors. Everywhere doors turn into rooms left open, goodbyes left said and unsaid, things done and undone, so many faces left behind. I wake and close the door from the bedroom to the hallway. I hear a creaking in the living room, a sound of a hand knocking. Who's that walking in the night again? Everywhere doors lead into rooms, passageways, corridors of echoes, the smell of sweat left sticking on the skin when I stare at a crease of light against the door or find myself turning the knob, walking into the silence of eyes waiting. Have you been here before? The house whispers. I'm in the end zone, waiting, hands shaking. The ball is coming. I fumble the pass. I'm in right field, a long drive. My legs won't move. I drop the ball. The ball keeps dropping. I drift into the night. In the hot afternoon, I cast a line. Leave the rod on the grass. The reel spins. The line is moving. Someone calls my name. I run to the river and shout, I got it. I hold it up. Faces turn and stare. They keep staring. On the streets of the red brick parish, the news spread. Eyes of neighbors stood around. On the pavement, arms outstretched, the statue of the blue blessed mother. Char of a row house, lighted cigarette. Fire this time. The burnt air still lingers. 6th grader in my class. Constance Adams gone. They laid her out in holy white. I served her black high mass. The incense won't go away. Another door, the piano won't play the music. My fingers forgot the keys. I am staring at a black-robed woman. She is asking questions. Do you practice enough? I open the door. There by the seashore cottage she waits. I keep returning to her arms. We snuggle in the web of dark. I surround the darkness and carry her back. Her arms hold up the sun. She tells me, it's not goodbye, just so long. Then she moves on. Another room, another door. The whisper of the voice lingers on the scale of air.
I found it interesting that in the beginning, it almost had a gothic tone to it. It's kind of mysterious. And then it takes a turn in the middle. And then at the end, you kind of go back to the beginning again, where it takes on that mystique and that gothic feel again. That's a very interesting poem. And
well, that's part of the development of it, but yeah, there is that echo going back, through the way of life. It's some kind of circular thing that I just felt belonged. That's something that it brings back so many echoes, so many scenes in my past. So I've kind of like strung it up with scenes. This is the latest poem I wrote, and my son died last year, and I must say, my son Eric, my life and my wife's life has broken, at that point in time. There's a time before and a time after, and it's hard for me to separate the two of them because I only live in the time after. I only live with the memory of his loss. And St. Paul talked about a thorn, that was stuck in his heart. Well, this is how my wife and I feel, that thorn that's stuck in her heart. And so much of my work after my son died has really been a coming to grasp with this, and it's like when I sit down to write, I can't get away from this subject. And this is the latest poem that I wrote about my son. Your grip. Before they put you in the fire, they talked about your hands. So rare today, they said. Thick hands, calloused hands, embedded with hard labor, hands larger than a handshake, hands that knew the wet saw, table saw, hammer, drill, pliers, the usefulness of every tool. You were never done with fixing. The back fence, bathroom tile, the shed, my bookshelves, the electric outlets, the spigot, family room, all bear the mark of your hands. When I hold a hammer, hit a nail, or use your drill, I think of your grip. When I brew the morning coffee and emptiness moves around the kitchen, a cup waiting to be filled. How many times we cried when you let the demon in, the demon that led you to the fire. Ashes to ashes, we all fall down. The medieval rhyme about the plague. For you and us, there was that other plague. Now you have no way of traveling except through us. If they dusted the house, they'd find your fingerprints on all the molding. Your dust now is around my neck. And I have a cross that basically has the ashes of my son and my father. So it goes with me everywhere.
Yeah, it's quite a poem.
Wow.
I think we've all, or most poets, I don't want to say all, but I think most poets have those kind of highly emotional poems that we write and really hard to get through. That must have been a hell of a poem to write.
Well, it was a hell of a poem to write, but it was more a hell of a poem to experience. The writing kind of came throughout, you might say the tears of my life. So it was just like sweating, it was there. I mean, it had to come out. So it was the experience that was a hell of a thing. And living that experience since then. The poem, frankly, Lou McKee used to say that he can always write a poem about a lost love affair. He said, I can always write a poem about that. Well, in a sense, I can always write a poem about the loss of my son and the loss in life of the people I love. And just the reflection of loss and our own mortality. I mean, this subject comes to me, It's a lot easier to write a poem about loss and grief than it is about love. Put it this way.